Hey, hello, and welcome to the show. It is me, John Park, and this is John Park's Workshop. And I got tired of waiting for the theme song to end, so I jumped in early. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for stopping in over on our YouTube chat and our Discord chat. Those are the places to go check out if you want to chat. Hi there to Dave Odessa and Beata Graf Abdelhagen over in YouTube. And this is the Discord right here. I think I lost my my window for the YouTube chat. I'll have to bring that back. Where'd the Discord go? There it is. Look, that's Discord. You can go to adafruit.it, adafru.it, adafru.it/Discord. You'll find it. And join our server. There's the channel you want. It is the live broadcast chat channel. That's where people are hanging out. Hey, Jim Hendrickson and VT Tech Ops, C. Grover, Thin Man, Blitz City DIY, hello. Thank you for hopping in. Hey there, Paul Cutler. Paul, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm going on the CircuitPython podcast with Paul. We're recording tomorrow, so I'm sure we'll let you know when that airs, presuming everything goes according to plan. But thanks for hopping into the chats and joining me today. What I've got coupon code for you to save some money at Adafruit Shop. I've got a recap of the product pick of the week. I have a CircuitPython Parsec. I have a LED sale promo. Don't let me forget that. I have the continuation of the Fight Stick project. I alluded to some of my issues and hopeful solutions last night in the show and tell, and I had a chance to implement some changes and print some models, so that's great. And hey, look, it's a wild Toddbot has appeared. Hello, Toddbot. This is the live Parkcast chat channel, if you make it that. It is whatever you need it to be. That's the fun thing about Discord, I guess. Right, so let's start with the LED sale week. Look, it is LED sale week. We have a sale this week on some of our LED products. I have notes. Let me check my notes because there were some specific things that I wanted to say. Thanks, Liz, for helping out with this and setting it up and sending us a reminder email. This week, LED sale week, we have discounts of 30 to 50% off on some of our LED products. It's part of a month-long sale event, so there'll be a totally new sale category next week. I don't even know what it is, and we will send you to a specific category link for that week. So if you look here at the bottom or over at that QR code, that'll take you there to category 1027. We use categories to group stuff. LED sale week. What's on sale? I'll show you. Let's hop over to a browser here, and this is the category 1027 LEDs, LED sale week. Look at these. Look at the prices on these. We've got bunch of these cool little matrix displays, including the round and the square pixel variety. So scroll through there, you see a bunch of those. We have bare LEDs in these neat deluxe resin shapes. So if you need a dunce hat or a spike or something with a LED embedded in it, you can get it right there, and it's half price. There are double-sided single-color 12-volt strips. There are NeoPixel strips, RGBW strips, neon-like strips, and a few others. There's some Charlie-plexed LED matrix bonnet. We have shields, Arduino-shaped shields. We have Charlie-plex LED matrix bonnet in other colors as well. And some of the various LED strips. In fact, I'm a big fan of, we'll be looking at these today, some of the 30 LED per meter one, which actually gives you a nice spacing for lighting stuff up. I'm going to show you that in my LED lit buttons in the arcade joystick, like this one right here, Adafruit. That one's dot star, but that's the 30 LED per meter. And on and on and on and on. So go check these out. Go to category 1027. Look for something in there. They are half priced. You just throw them in your cart. There's no coupon code or anything like that. It's just going to cost less. So that's the exciting LED sale week information that I have for you. Liz can let me know if I've forgotten anything over in our chat. But that is that. So check it out. Buy some LEDs. All right, next up. So let's talk about Tuesday. Let's go back just a little bit in time. Tuesday. Something weird was going on because that is my product pick of the week thumbnail. What the heck? Here's a little recap. The week this week, it's the Circuit Playground Express. It is a favorite among educators and people picking up microcontrollers for the first time. It has the ATSAM-D21 Cortex M0 processor on it, so it is plenty fast to run Arduino, to run CircuitPython, and to run make code. It has 2 megs of SPI flash on it. It's got the 10 NeoPixel ring running around the outside. It has a motion sensor built on board. There is a temperature sensor. There's a light and color sensor. There's a microphone, which will act as a sound sensor. A mini speaker, push button A and B. There's a little slide switch, IR transmitter and receiver on there. 7 capacitive touch pads around the edges. 8 analog inputs, PWM outputs. 1 is a true analog output, so you can connect it up to a small amplifier and speaker circuit. There's also a JST connector that you can hook up battery packs. The Circuit Playground Express. Wow, 1 minute is not enough time to just list off the features of that thing. It's everything on there. I even edited out a couple things that I'd said. So that was the product pick of the week. Go grab yourself some Circuit Playgrounds Express. They're great. Next up, let's. Since I did the LED sale week promo, I did not do my usual coupon code mention, but here it is. We also have a coupon code. The coupon code will get you 10% off on stuff that isn't the LED sale stuff. I think you can, someone try this and let me know. If you buy some sale stuff, I don't think this coupon will take any more off of that, but it should work on the rest of the items in your cart. I think it's sophisticated enough to deal with that, but that's your coupon code. It is Bug Zapper. Bug Zapper. Bug Zapper. I have mosquitoes here. I know it's very cold on the East Coast, but here in Southern California, I have mosquitoes in my workshop. The heck. So Bug Zapper is on my mind. Maybe it's time to build one. Bug Zapper is going to get you 10% off in the shop, so head on over to the main Adafruit, not the LED sale, but just the main Adafruit right there. And look, we've got some new products. If you want a Term Driver 2 by X Camera Labs, they make neat stuff. That will be 10% off if you use this coupon code. That is a new USB to serial interface with a little built-in screen on it. Super cool. And then there's these Raspberry Pi flash drives if you need a fancy flash drive that looks kind of like a bottle opener to me, but it is not a bottle opener. I'm sad to report, but maybe you could turn it into a bottle opener. And on and on. So here are some just new product things that we've got there. Get 10% off on those. It'll work on any of the physical goods that you can throw into your cart gently. Will not work on gift certificates, software, or subscriptions, but if it's a physical thing that we can send to you, you get 10% off. And some restrictions apply. Mostly, I think that's not going to work on these LED sale week things. But who knows? Try it. Report back. All right, that's coupon code. Next up, time for a CircuitPython Parsec.
CircuitPython Parsec.
Right, okay, I'm doing some fiddling around. I'm actually going to move one window into view here for this. This was a last-minute addition to how I'm demoing this, and hopefully it all goes well. Earlier today, it kind of zapped my sound on this system. But okay, there's a little mini window of a software synthesizer there. Why is that there? Well, let me move it so that it doesn't get covered up by my code window. Okay. Why is that there? That is there for this reason. So for the CircuitPython Parsec today, I wanted to talk about setting up a basic MIDI keyboard in CircuitPython using a trellis. This is a mecha trellis. You can use this with a neo trellis. You can use it with a regular trellis. But the fundamentals of using USB MIDI to just send note on off. So here's a little demo. I've got a number of octaves of keys here that I can play, almost well, it's 64 keys, so getting pretty close to a full piano keyboard there, not quite. And so the way this works inside of CircuitPython, key things that are going on is I'm importing the USB MIDI library and the Adafruit MIDI library, along with Adafruit MIDI's note on and note off. I've also got the usual neo trellis and multi-trellis setup. This is set up like 4 little 4x4 pads just connected together. A little variable here for the number of switches. I do I2C setup, and then all of the 4 addresses of that trellis get connected. And then I'm setting up MIDI. So here, MIDI equals Adafruit MIDI, MIDI out. What port's it going on? It's going out on USB MIDI port 1. And the out channel, out MIDI channel. You can have 16 of them. I'm on channel 0, or what's called channel 1 in the MIDI world. And then I'm setting up some other of the trellis LED things here. So I have a brightness value I'm using of 0.3. And then I have a number of color definitions for these rows, as well as, you can see there, a brighter color when a key gets pressed. So those are those 2 little lists there that I put into the row colors and row dim colors. And then I have some MIDI note mapping helpers. So these are set up on the trellis as key 00, and key 77. I'm going to flip that around and call these 0 through 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 63. So my MIDI helpers are going to take those and grab different notes. I have all essentially of the white keys per row, so that's this little key intervals right here, key 0, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 12. So we get the octave with just the white keys. And then my first note here is a C1 on a piano, or MIDI note 24. Then I have these calculations from the grid system to the number system and vice versa that we've looked at before. And then I have this get MIDI note, which essentially takes that and converts to one of those MIDI numbers. And you can see in my REPL here, when I do press a note, I'm printing out a bunch of stuff here just to make it a little easier to follow. So the base note, that's always going to be 24. That's where I'm starting. I add to that the octave number, so octave 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on, and multiply that by 12 so that I get a note number to add to it. And then whichever the X coordinate is, the white key intervals on X, so 0, 7, 12 going across. So that get MIDI note takes in an XY position and spits out a MIDI note, which you see printed there. And then I have a little display initialization. And then this is the callback that gets called whenever I press a note. So this is the main thing that's happening when we press a key. We send a X and Y position, and we also say, are we pressing it or is it being raised? So push or release. That's the edge detection there, or edge state. So then we get that position and that note. If it's being pressed, which is rising in this case because of the pull-up resistor, then I do a MIDI send, note on, note number, and a velocity of 127, or full volume, full velocity. Then I also set the the color to the brighter version of the color of that note, and then I'm printing it out. When I release, we just send this MIDI.send note off, the note number, and this velocity of 0 is kind of redundant. There's a couple ways that can be done, but just for clarity, I'm sending a note off and a velocity of 0. So these are the keys right here: MIDI send note on and a note number and a velocity, and MIDI send note off. That presses and turns off a note in whatever synthesizer you're using. And then we set up all the buttons so that they have that edge rising and edge falling state that can be checked. And we name the button handling function. So when one of these is pressed, this is the function that gets called handle button, which was the name of this guy right here. So with all of that set up in the main loop, all we have to do is trellis.sync, and that is just constantly, or every 2 milliseconds, polling to see are any of these buttons experiencing a state change from rest to rising to falling. And so that is how we can play a whole bunch of MIDI notes on our trellis device inside of CircuitPython. And that is your CircuitPython Parsec.
Yes, CircuitPython Parsec.
Where'd I go? There I am. Hey, sorry, I had a technical glitch with the audio. So I just was noticing over in the chat, PJC20 said, hi, it's my first time watching your live stream, and I might have a few questions to ask later. Okay, definitely okay. Yeah, just ask them in the chat, and people may answer you right there in the chat, or I will if I get a chance to look at it and I know the answer. And bear with me while I turn the AC back on because it's getting hot in here. Sorry. Todd over in our Discord said it's going to be around 80 degrees today in Southern California, and mosquitoes. We used to never have mosquitoes. It's true. Please feel great sympathy for us. We didn't have mosquitoes until about 5 years ago. It's terrible. So I will mention again, this will work with, in this case, I'm using a little Feather microcontroller, but you can use this on a Cutie Pie. You can use this on a Itsy Bitsy, on a KB2040, pretty much any of our microcontrollers that have a STEMMA QT port on them will make it really easy to plug into a trellis board or a Neo trellis or a Mecha trellis. And this is one of the great strengths of CircuitPython, I think, is MIDI is just easy. You'll see people sort of flocking to CircuitPython for MIDI controller projects just because it's so darn easy inside of the library. And I'll explore some other MIDI stuff as we go. We'll do some stuff with multiple MIDI channels simultaneously and other arrangements. But I am a big fan of this type of little grid controller. Since I'm not a keyboard player, it actually makes more sense to me to stack notes than to deal with an actual piano-style keyboard. But there's much more you can do, and the color coding makes it a lot of fun. So that's my next step in some of this MIDI controller building on the Mecha Trellis that I'm going to do. All right, let's let me unplug that so we don't get any unexpected MIDI magic along the way. And I'm actually going to set the software aside. Okay, let's see what is next. I want to head over in a second to the workbench, and we'll take a look at the sort of next steps with this MIDI arcade controller. It's all kinds of controllers. Arcade joystick or fight stick that I'm working on. But I'm going to grab one actually and chat about where we are up to here and where we're going. So that is my layout that I'm working with. I've got 8 sort of 30mm arcade buttons here, and then these are things like select, start, sort of a unassigned key for the most part, the home key, which is your Xbox or your PlayStation key or your Switch home button, and then a function key, which is used just for internal settings and things. And then I've got a little reset button on the back, and you can see I've got a USB-C port there for my KB2040 I'm running. I put some of these neat standoff keyboard feet, aluminum keyboard feet with rubber bumpers on the bottom, and nice joystick there. So the issue that I ran into, so this case, let me show you a mostly empty version of that. So this one right here, let me jump to a down shooter so you can get a little better view. And I'm just gonna adjust my exposure a bit there. It's a little better. So currently it's this two-part design, and so you can see here I've got, as I was working on this, I put a little printout of my circuit board for the breakout for KB2040 and all the wiring, and then I kind of went a little nutty with these supports, because this is a fairly thin and therefore flexy piece of 3D printed material. In the past, I've built these using laser cut acrylic, which is thicker and a little sturdier, so it didn't need as much affordance for standoffs. But for various reasons, I went with a 3D print on this, which means I need to put something to keep this from flexing when I press buttons and push down on the joystick a little aggressively. I am backing away from having this many of them. It seemed a little like overkill. And what I found was, in putting together all of the controls and the little OLED display here, with the exception of one button on the back of the case, and then setting this up here, wiring everything to the KB2040. Here is my prototype one with just little mini buttons, and this is using some silicone jumper wiring, which is actually a little more flexible than sort of PVC coated arcade cables I ended up using. It's a mess. It's just a lot. I mean, as neat as I try to make it, and obviously these aren't tied off or zip tied or anything, it's just a lot of wiring to have running from here to here. It's doable, but what was really driving me bonkers was trying to actually close the thing. Just routing around all of these various standoffs and the NeoPixel standoffs. You can see I did manage to get this mostly closed. If I press down, there's a chance I won't break something, but there's a chance I will. And so here's, oh, I just popped something off there. Here's the wiring as it stands here. And what I realized is that the big problem here is that I made this a two-part construction for the controller and the controls, and those really should just be on one surface. They should be on one plane, so that I can do some really neat wiring, tuck things away, zip tie stuff, or make little sort of looms, wire lace if you want to get really elaborate with it. But this separation means I'm always going to have some sort of a little sandwich to close up here. So that leads us, let me go over to the workbench, that leads us to the new iteration there that you can see. And that is, let me make this window a little bigger, 1 second. There we go. And that is this. So I printed these off last night. It looks very similar. I've built the model parametrically in Grasshopper for Rhino. So Rhino is the modeling program I really like to use. Grasshopper is the parametric modeling component of that allows you to define things as nodes with connections and data flows and little bits of logic and things like that. Makes it fairly straightforward to change the model a lot. So what I ended up doing was actually leaving the top as a top, but also cutting out a bottom and making the sides a separate piece. So now I've got this three-part construction. You can see the base is dead simple. All it has is some screw holes to attach it to the walls as well as the 4 feet, and nothing's mounted to it. No microcontroller touches that. So this is the front plate, and the walls will go on like this. Those 2 screw in. I have M4 screws and standoffs, so I'll do heat set M4 threaded inserts here, so I can do short little screws that screw it down. Or, since I've now got holes on the bottom, which I didn't before, I can, especially while I'm just working on it at first, and especially because I'm going to do photos for the Learn Guide and I don't want to put those heat set inserts in until I'm ready to photograph it, I can use some longer M4 screws and go all the way through and just put a nut on the bottom or on the top, run it through, so I'll be able to hold that temporarily as I work on it. But if we take a look, now the idea is microcontroller is going to go here, and I'm going to run the USB cable all the way through. And I've got a lot of these nice flexy 2-meter USB cables. So I may just make this a sort of permanent cable rather than have it unplug on both sides. I may just, like most game controllers, take this. These are nice and flexy, and run it over to the microcontroller sitting over here, or however I want to run that. I've got it's nice and flexy, and I've got enough length there. So the other option would be to I have the USB data minus, data plus, 5-volt and ground broken out on my little, I'll show it in a second, on my little KB2040 breakout, so I could just run a USB breakout, what do we call those? I'm missing the word for it, but panel mount, little panel mount USB C plug there, so that I can then plug and unplug. So there's some options there, but by not constraining myself to having the KB2040 have to be up against this back wall here, I free up a lot of space, because it was having to be low to avoid these buttons. Now it's just way out of the way. So let me grab let's start disassembling some parts of this. I'm not going to do a full build on here. I'm actually waiting for some different arcade buttons. Yeah, Todd in the chat agrees, get a panel mount. Panel mount might be nice. I'm also pleased by breaking these out into separate walls from the floor and the top, because that now means if I want to make changes to one of these, I'm not doing the full print. So this one's about a 2-hour print with the settings I have. So if I want to make this thing just a little bit taller to give myself a little room in there, change what that panel mount is, I'm not having to reprint this, which is like 6 hours or something like that. This is a much slower print. So if we take this, and let me just check if I can. Do I have the right? Yeah, I'm just gonna put 2 screws. I'll put 4 of them, actually. I'm gonna put 4 screws in here to hold this together while I'm working, as I said. And that will help me from dirtying up the lid. This is me presuming the lid will be the final lid. I'm sure it won't, but since I made it light blue, it's now a little susceptible to getting dirtied up and marred up on my workbench. So here are some M4. These are not, I decided to go with a more ergonomically friendly shape of screw for those top ones, and actually any of them that are exposed. So this is these nice little cap head, or button head rather. Come on, focus. There we go. These little button head ones are nice and low profile, so that's what I'm going to actually use. And for some reason, McMaster-Carr had blue ones, so I went and got these blue ones. I'm sure they're meant to indicate something. They got blue dye, and I'm sure there's an industrial reason why you might sometimes use these blue dyed ones, but I just thought it looked cool, so that's what I got there. But for these temporary ones, I have these kind of large protruding cap head socket style bolts that I will use. Like I said, this is just temporary. Ultimately, I'll put threaded inserts on both sides, and I'll be able to neatly screw the base down while leaving the top on, and vice versa. Okay, so that's how that's gonna. Nicer size and focus. There we go. That just about fits. And if we take the one I was working on yesterday before I lost my cool about it and decided I need to redesign the case, you can see I started snapping off the standoffs in a rage to try to fit wires, but that was maybe not the way to go. And what I'll do is I'm just gonna, what I forgot to bring was all my little socket setters, but I can probably grab a hex driver and unscrew these from the bottom. 1 second. Or do I have a spare here? I think let me not do that. Hold on. There's a better way. I've got, this is my this project's extras and parts in a box that I am moving around between workbenches, so it's a little stuffed. Okay, so here's the circuit board. Yeah, just get that. I had a spare KB2040 sitting here, so I'll put that in just for temporary. So there's the board. It's going to sit right there. There will be, these are M2.5, so real small M2.5, same little shape, so that will be 4 little things right there at the bottom, but I don't mind them. If it bothers me enough, I could do some small standoffs and threaded inserts in here too, so that would just lift this up, you know, about 4 or 5 millimeters off here. I think that's fine. There's not anything that needs to be right there. But that's how that's going to live in there, and that means with the buttons coming through, I can do all of my cable routing in here. Again, like I say, this should have been obvious to me. I've done these kinds of arcade controls before. Everything kind of lives on one surface, or sometimes something will be like on a wall that you're wiring to, but not this sandwich hinged lid nonsense I was trying. So ideally, everything will get set into there, and then this will pop on there and get screwed in place. So that is where I'm going with this. I think I mentioned on the show and tell yesterday that I also started experimenting with a little single layer dual material indicator for text just for some of these button names. So select start, A2 home function. I'm not going to bother with these, and these I might make smaller or more subtle or use symbols for them, but it is a little bit difficult for me to remember what these 4 buttons up here are for normally. The other thing I was going to do, let's see, I failed miserably at this yesterday and did not have time to try double checking the docks on it, so maybe we'll do that now. I saw one, these are kind of temporary cables anyway, and they're not some of these are not the right size, so they pop off easily. But let me put this back on here. Let's just check and see if it wants to boot up, and then I'll see if I can show you the function menus on here. I'm just going to plug this into power. It's not on a console or anything like that. But let's see if we can power it up. So there. Oh, this this camera's frame rate and this OLED are going to battle and give you some terrible flicker there. But you can see I've got my animated LED patterns on the buttons there, and this is something I also mentioned in Show and Tell last night that I'm really pleased about, is just using a NeoPixel strip with that insulated silicone sheathing removed. You get a really nice thin solution to surrounding those buttons, and since they have translucent shells, that shows up pretty nicely, especially on the little bezel area there. Oh, I just I've got something shorting out in there, I'm sure. So let's see, I'm going to reset it. Will this reset? Okay, I'm going to keep that away from the guts there. So you can see this gives me I may have to plug it into the computer to see this stuff happen. But this should give me the button history, which, as I mentioned last night, is really, yeah, something is being triggered constantly right now. That's not good. This button up here. What's your problem? What? Oh, it's just clicked out of place. Okay. Okay, so there's all these buttons lighting up. At the bottom is their name. Yeah, you know what? Let me, if I can keep this thing alive, I'm going to bring it over to the other camera, which has a better frame rate for this, and it won't be flashing. I did try out a little bit of Street Fighter yesterday and was successful at pulling off some combos with it, which is nice. That's kind of the point of this. And let's do, oh, not that, that, there we go. In the corner there. There you can see, yeah, this frame rate, much happier with this. So there, right arrow, left arrow, down the diagonals. So you can see that nice little history at the bottom if you're trying to pull off fireballs and things like that where you need to crank it around and you're missing them. You can look down here in training mode, practice mode, and just see, okay, what am I actually not hitting on there, which is sort of neat. The S2 select, I think, or S1 select, and start, and the first B1 button here change the animation patterns. So now it's just on a sort of static fade, different color. I also have light up colors when I press. So this allows you to cycle between the animations, and then there are other combos that let you change parameters like lighter and darker and so on. This is that little chase animation in there. Let's see. Tyeth said, maybe a socket and plug from those flat USB HDMI DIY cables with a flat FPC cable might work to tie the USB around the edges. I like that idea. Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, so now I'm actually going to, let me bring up this browser page for a moment and try to find the button combo I'm looking for. So this is JP2040 documentation. Let's do under usage, mini menu. Does this tell you how to launch the mini menu? I don't know why I'm so obsessed with this, but I want to show you. So this is the function button up here, and there's a combo plus function. That, oh my gosh, it was home. I don't know if why it wasn't working. Okay, so this is pretty cool. I'm gonna zoom in a little closer here. So this is still in arcade button mode. It's not in configure mode for the web configurator. But you can see now we've got, oh, I have to hold function, right? Which of these access that? No, in and out of that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is the start button. I think this goes back. Yeah, okay. So here in the mini menu, I can use my function button and the joystick to get around this little menu. And then I can go to input mode, and instead of X input, I could change this to Nintendo Switch or PS3 or keyboard, PS4, Xbox One, Sega Genesis Mini, Neo Geo Mini, PC Engine Mini. I don't even know what Egret 2 Mini is, Astro City Mini, PlayStation Classic, and on and on and on. So these are all input modes that you can set, which normally 4 of those are assignable at startup, just to four of the B buttons. But I'm never going to remember those. So if I can learn this combo, maybe I'll put a little cheat sheet on the bottom, then I'll be able to adjust this for the next time it starts up to be in a different mode, which is pretty cool. If we go back, you can change the D-pad mode to act like a sort of virtual left analog or right analog stick. You can change the SOCD mode, which I think does not matter because I'm using a real joystick, for some people who use buttons as joystick for fight games. You can accidentally press impossible combos like left and right at the same time, and I think the SOCD modes are for dealing with that. And then profiles. So right now I have one just called Fight Stick, but I could make different profile, let's say for Pac-Man, that has different color scheme, different button assignments, does not allow diagonals on the joystick, which is a help. So you can do all that right by making a profile, saving it, and I'll probably put that in the Learn Guide. I'll make a second one, Fight Stick and Arcade Pac-Man or something like that. And then if you're doing turbo mode on a button, I guess I haven't used this, but you can turn it on and off, and I think that's a pre-assigned button. So there, it tells me now I'm in X input mode. I have digital D-pad that's not trying to act like an analog pad, and the name of the profile. And there's a couple other things you can tell it to show up here. So there we go. It's working pretty well. Oh, I just saw a question. Sorry about that. JC20 has to leave, so they're sorry, they'll ask next time. What's our question? I built spaceship models and I install lighting in the models to light them, and I know nothing about making my own circuit effect boards. I'd like to learn how. Hey, come back and we'll talk about that sometime. Thanks, PJC 2.0. Sorry I didn't get to that earlier. Yeah, we can talk about prop lighting. It's I love the subject. So come on back, or also check out our Discord at adafruit.it/discord. So let me just go to a different animation there. Back out from here. The configurator, if I hold reset, my reset button is down here, and press, which one is it? Oh, let's try that again. So reset. I think I'm shorting something in there again. Sorry. Oh, I think I have to be holding this while I reset on and off. Sorry. Okay. I will get it in either the next try or the try after. It's one of these two. There it is. Okay. So that's the start button and reset and release. Start, I think, is the same as the... Yeah, that's just the one assigned to that. That puts me in config mode. So now I can look at some config stuff on here, but now the web server is running. So if I go to 192.168.7.1, I get my that KB2040's web configurator is running on there. So we can do things like, remember those input modes, you can change them here and restart. You can do that D-pad mode, some of these SOCD cleaning modes, the boot input modes. So these are actually, you can assign 8 on startup. And hotkey settings. So hotkey settings in here is where I did all of that function key navigation. That allows me to navigate the function key, function menu. And then configuration is where the main stuff happens. So I have been taking screenshots of this and writing up this section of the guide. It's almost done, so that if you want to do this exact assignment, you'll know what to do. And this gives us button assignments as well as the peripheral mapping for I2C, for the LED configuration that I have there, which buttons cause the LEDs to do stuff, and my display configuration for the OLED. Over here on mode options, Todd just mentioned the Lars arcade. Oh no, Yanisku7 said Lars arcade like Flynn's arcade. So this is where, if I zoom in here, you can see I made a little quick OLED screen, startup screen, splash screen, just in Photoshop, and uploaded it to the board. So that's what shows up on Splash. And add-on configuration here, I think I didn't need any of these, right? Yeah. But there are a lot of other add-ons that you can do. And then data backup and configuration is kind of interesting. So if I hit save right now, you'll see it saved a file, to tell my browser to keep it, saved a file named GP2040CE backup, and then a unique UID or date code looking thing, and then the suffix .gp2040, which I quickly realized is actually a JSON file. So if we jump back over to my code editor here and open up that file, I don't have a neat JSON viewer in here, but you can see this is things like the display is enabled, and is it flipped? No. Is it inverted? No. What's it showing? This little thing right here, that's my Lars boot up screen, just in some sort of splash image text mode. It's a 128 by 64 image, so you can just print it out like that. These should all just be 0 or 255, but I fed it a PNG that had some grayscale in it, and it adapts pretty well. But everything you do in the configurator is in here, so you can save this off, send it to someone, they can run it too. I'll include mine in the Learn guide if someone wants to grab this exact one. But that's every setting right there that's on it. And I have noticed one quirk. I'll fill out a bug report, but if you blank the board out and bring that in, it does not release the I2C pins on the STEMMA QT connector, so it doesn't hook up the OLED properly, so you have to do 3 steps to get that running again. But right here, restore from file, you can say, okay, if I only want to overwrite like just the LED stuff maybe, you can import that, and I haven't tested that, but that should work to just bring in the LED stuff, since it seemed to work when I brought it all in. So very cool. I continue to be impressed with the GP2040CE project. Oh my gosh, why are there two of me right there? Woo! That was weird. Wait, let's give me a little tiny head. From the easily amused department. Okay. So that's what's up. Like I said, I've got some buttons coming. I mentioned this, but I haven't shown it. One of the neat things about these buttons is you can, if you get them in different colors, you can swap the little caps out. They just pry out. And so what I'm going to do is I think the blue and the red tops, but the clear bodies, because the clear bodies shine the color LEDs through really nicely. And that's what you see when your hand's on it more than anything. Do you need color LEDs? No, but come on. It's LED sale week, so you got to, right? Hey, I said LED sale week, so boop, boop, boop. That's right, LED sale. Go to this URL, go to that QR code, get a bunch of LED stuff on sale this week only. Like I mentioned, new sale category next week. All right, is that it? I think that is all we've got, so... See if I missed anything? No? Good. Yeah. Okay. Armistead AB, if that's your name, over on YouTube said, I used those lighted arcade buttons at a museum. Very durable. Yeah. These, what is rated for? Like 500,000 clicks? A million clicks? I'm not sure. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Thanks for people also over in our Discord chat. Liz with the LED icon. What's that guy's name? I never remember our LED character's name. Todd thought he saw Freddy versus Jason in the theaters. I'm sorry. Okay. Hey, last thing. If you want to buy other stuff other than LED sale stuff, and why would you? Like Billy, thanks Liz, Billy, the LED there. If you want to buy other stuff, then get 10% off on it with the coupon code BUGZAPPER. All right? Please do it. Other than that, I believe there's going to be a deep dive with Scott tomorrow. Foamy Guy may be coming in during the week on his deep dives. That's some new talk is afoot about that. So looking forward to that. There may be some Desk of Lady Ada over the weekend. I'll be back on Tuesday with a product pick of the week. I believe there's a chance it might need to get shifted around or delayed due to some pet vet visit thing that may need to happen. We'll see. But I'll blog about it. You'll know. And then back on Wednesday morning with 3D Hangouts, show and tell, ask an engineer-like things such as the Eye on NPI and some other videos that they've been putting together. And rinse and repeat. So thank you everyone so much for stopping by today. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park. This has been John Park's Workshop. Bye-bye.
Thank you.